So this is the idea of how can you lead without having to wildly overwork yourself. We're going to implement the SOTT framework so we stop wasting our energy on stupid shit so that we can go home and sleep. I'm going to talk about this in the context of corporate America, though. Although this framework could really work anywhere, because what we're doing is we're talking about action. How do we find action that moves us forward versus action that we do because it's a warm blanket and makes us feel good? It makes us feel like we've done something, but doesn't actually get you anywhere. It's the difference between if you're a car spinning on ice, right? Your wheels are just spinning, but you're not going anywhere. But if you just would slow down and let the tires dig in and just roll out, you're going to get a lot farther, a lot faster, right? It's figuring out what the right action is. That's the SOTT method. So this is the idea of how can you lead without having to wildly overwork yourself. The idea here is how do you really narrow down onto the stuff that matters. In order to do a great job, a lot of the times the trap that we fall into is we create these really big lofty goals and we just have these lists of things that we're going to do. We have this lists of goals and it's really just this glorified to-do list. But if we check the boxes off the to-do list, we get to show people that, hey, I did things. We get to show ourselves, yes, I was productive. I did A, B, and C. Even if A, B, and C didn't get us anywhere. But at the end of the day, it was just kind of an arbitrary to-do list because you didn't tie the action to an outcome. The action itself was the deliverable, which isn't super helpful. To put it in the context of like how we live, if your goal is a clean kitchen, but the action that you're going to do is just fill the sink, that didn't get me anywhere. Now I just have stuff in the sink. The goal has to be, the outcome has to be, I want clean plates. So then you have multiple ways to get to the clean plates. You can scrub them in the sink. You can put them in the dishwasher. I mean, theoretically, you could buy new plates to get clean plates. Really, the only outcome here that doesn't work is you can't throw the plates away because then you wouldn't have plates, right? But the difference between the action and the outcome here is clean plates. And if we were to leave it, the action of just put the dishes in the sink, we're never going to get where we want to go, right? To put it in the context of corporate America, it might look like, hey, one of my jobs is to run a weekly team meeting. Okay. Well, what's the point of the meeting? Right? We've all been in those brutal meetings where we just sit and stare at each other for a half hour each week while somebody dawdles off like what it is that they did that week. But it doesn't ultimately help us. This is why I like agendas. If you switch it from a task of run the meeting to the outcome, to what do I want to get from that meeting, the meeting now becomes ensure the team is aligned on roadblocks, make sure that we have our deadlines in place, and make sure everybody's resourced appropriately, right? Those are outcomes that you can act on that actually move the team forward versus, hey, we chatted about our weekend and then we all pieced out. The golden rule here, basically, if you achieved your goal but nothing fundamentally got better, you did it wrong. That's just kind of the long and short of it. You wrote a task goal, not an outcome goal, and that's your problem. So the SOTT framework, SOTT framework. What is it? Strategy, objective, tactic, timing. I like this framework because it is so straightforward and it's easy to implement and act on for everybody, and everybody's going to understand what you're working on. So the strategy. This is the overarching direction that you want to go, whether it's in your business, personal life, whatever. You don't have to invent it from scratch necessarily. Just look at what makes sense for your business. So like what are you trying to achieve? The objective. What does success look like when you get there? So to go back to the plate example, I want clean plates. The strategy here is basically I want to keep my kitchen clean so that I don't have bugs. So I want clean plates is the objective. The easiest way to kind of work this through in a more complicated example, I like frameworks like the 5 whys or the so what, where anytime somebody says something, says a statement for a problem, you reply back, so what? Or why does that matter? I want to put this back in the corporate world. I want to clean up the database. Why? I want to have clean customer information. Why? I want to be able to send out accurate emails about what it is that they care about so people don't hate me and unsubscribe. There's the why that you actually care about, right? That's now your objective. Cleaning the database without a reason why means you're going to end up with a very pretty shiny database that has data in it that nobody's going to use because it wasn't purpose built. Tactic. What is your daily action to get there? How is the team actually going to execute, or how are you actually going to execute on your objective? These are going to be your specific day-to-day tasks that actually get your thing done. So in the prior example, when I was talking about the database, the tactic here might be, I'm going to implement checks that make sure that I don't have two of the same email address in the table, right? Like, you don't want duplicates, get it out of it. That's your tactic. Timeline, this is going to be, when will this have the most value? And realistically, when can we get it done with the resources that we have available? Timing is going to push through and redefine how your project is structured. My least favorite thing and the most demotivating thing for me ever is always the fake deadline. Take it into account and be realistic so that you're not adding things to people's plate that don't need to be there for a made-up reason. Why am I working a 60-hour week to get this to you on Friday when I know damn well you're not going to look at it until next Friday? Right? The timing here matters. To simplify it, this can be done in a single sentence here. So, in order to support our strategy of X, put in your strategy, our objective is to do Y, where Y is your objective. We will do this by XYZ tactics. So what are your actions that you're going to take to handle your objective? So in like the dishwasher example, it would be as simple as, I am going to collect the dirty dishes from around the house. I am going to put them in the sink until the dishwasher is empty. And then I'm going to put them in the dishwasher, run the dishwasher, and put them away. I have 5 tactics to hit my objective of, I'm going to put the clean dishes in the shelf, right? The goal here is to basically get you out of doing unproductive work for the sake of doing unproductive work. Figure out what your actual objective is, get that done, then go home and take a nap, right? Time to rest. Use your energy in a very specific, helpful way versus I'm using my energy to check boxes so my boss doesn't yell at me today. Or I'm breathing down my direct report's neck, micromanaging them to get the checklist done versus, hey, what do they need to get this objective done that we can all be aligned on because we all see the why. I hope that helps. Please like and subscribe. I'm going to be making more content here to figure out how do we move through the world in a way that helps us protect our energy, but also be successful and thrive.